You guys can ask questions away about this or anything else. Pleased to be here. Thankful for Chief Judge Maxine White allowing us to be here today, and really for her outspoken support for reform here in the state of Wisconsin, and as well as working with the judiciary here and across the state. Today what we saw is what I think many of us, many people across the state would like to see on a frequent basis, and that is Republicans and Democrats, people in both chambers, people not only from elected office, but from all over the state of Wisconsin, from counties to law enforcement to judiciary to lawmakers in both parties working together. This will put in place long-term structural reform within the juvenile justice system to go from where the state has historically been for many decades into either one or two large-scale facilities where serious juvenile offenders are held, to spreading that out throughout the state into smaller facilities that will be closer to the people in conjunction with the counties. Having been a county official working in this building, I know how important that is to make sure that the county and the state are working together. This will also be in connection with not only counties but with tribal governments, and so it's just a really unique opportunity. We wanted to sign this as quickly as possible, so this was the first date open and not wait for another week or two, and again was appreciative of all the lawmakers, not just those here, but a number of others that had joined with them over the past several months and working together, as well as with the counties, the sheriffs, the deputies, and police chiefs from across the state. That will take questions. Well, obviously, even without this legislation, the priority from John Litcher, the Department of Corrections, is to make sure we continue to do things that put in place strong reforms and reinforce the reforms they've done of late, to make sure that at any of our correctional facilities, being Lincoln Hill or anywhere else, that anyone, an offender, staff person, visitors, or others, are always safe, and that's ultimately not only a priority, it's something that continues to need to be updated. But as part of this process, it's looking at taking the next step now is working aggressively with the counties, because this has got to be a vital partnership between county and state government, and making sure we've got the resources to go forward with this plan.
How many facilities do you anticipate in southeastern Wisconsin?
Well, again, the majority of individuals who are in the system right now, the serious juvenile system, come from southeastern Wisconsin. Actually, majority come from Milwaukee County. So we'd want the largest numbers to be in and around Milwaukee. Again, those are all things that the state as well as the counties are going to work on. We've had a long and lengthy discussion for more than a year, for example, with County Executive Abley here on this, and he's been helpful in working with this as well. But we want to make sure we do it in a way that provides a strong partnership.
Any idea on the facility up Lincoln Hills? Do you want to turn that into an adult prison?
Yeah, I think it's clear that at least our initial, when we put our proposal out, our intentions were to go forward with that being an adult facility. I think with lawmakers, again, from both parties, the interest would be using that space. It allows us to deal with capacity issues, and it's a spot where it's ideal not only for things like alcohol and drug abuse treatment, but also for those seeking the ability to work and take the skills that they're getting and apply them and potentially into job opportunities. That, as well as looking at other sites that we have across the state, doing more of that going forward.
Workers up there, will they be offered jobs elsewhere?
Yeah, the intention was from day one, and I think that's consistent with the improvements the legislature made along the way, was that we believe that everyone who's working there today, everyone who's legitimately working at that facility, will be able to either have an option of working at that facility as it makes a transition to an adult facility, or potentially moving to one of the other juvenile centers across the state.
As far as criticism goes, Youth Justice Milwaukee has just expressed concern, saying that this was rushed. There are some flaws within the legislation. I reached out to them today. They're saying we don't want to repeat past mistakes. That's their concern.
Well, again, I don't think it's a rush. We've looked at this for more than a year. County Executive Abley reached out to us more than a year ago and said they'd like to do one pilot site. We said that's interesting, but when you do that, it would have a ripple effect in all the other counties, both in terms of staffing and cost. And so instead, we looked at this process. A number of the lawmakers that were here today had been working for quite some time, a year and a half in the making in terms of legislation, much of which is incorporated in what the final version was at. So even though the process, the final coming together and getting unanimous support came about rather quickly at the tail end, This is not something that just happened out of the blue. A number of lawmakers, our secretaries of both corrections and Department of Health Services have all been working on this for more than a year.
Governor, political question, the WMC ad, do you think that should stay on the air, or like the family wants, come off the air, and also the First Lady's comments?
In terms of the ad, I haven't seen it, so I don't comment on ads I haven't seen. In terms of my wife, she's a strong woman, like so many women in the state. She can speak for herself.
What about the state treasurer's position, the elimination of that?
Yeah, for years, even when I was in the legislature, Republicans and Democrats for years have said that was an obsolete position, and I'm going to vote yes in eliminating it. As have many lawmakers before, I was in the legislature, advocated for that in both parties. Good, thanks. Appreciate it. There you go.